No, I have dated blondes, brunettes, redheads. I've dated short girls. I've dated tall girls. I dated heavy girls. I dated skinny girls. I don't really think of myself as having a type.
Man, you've been around, dude.
I had an interesting 20s. All right, let's just put it that way.
You're a slut.
All right, everybody, welcome to Nerds of a Certain Vintage. As always, I am Patrick.
And I am Andy.
And it is the 1st of January.
That's right, 2023, our first episode of the year. Those who've listened to the podcast, and we've been doing the podcast for, 3 years?
Coming up on 4.
Coming up on 4 years.
Yeah.
On our anniversary of the podcast, we always do what we call the Home Companion, where we go through all of the inside jokes and just break down the podcast. And I thought, well, we're going to put it on YouTube. This would be the best first episode. Because those of you who've never heard of this or seen it, watch this and you will get an inside view into how it all works. So anyway, welcome to Nerds of a Certain Vintage.
Yes. And the best thing about this episode is that I have to do zero prep for this. I've told you this.
Yes.
I don't do a thing. I just react to whatever thing you're going to make fun of me about.
Yes. Well,
I would probably enjoy this much more if I actually did some prep, so I could make a little fun of you.
How could you enjoy it more? I have plenty of things to make fun of me about. All right, here.
Can or bottle?
I'm going to say go with the bottle.
Ooh, you're switching things up. I get it.
Number one, for those of you who are not listeners of the podcast, and a lot of the stuff that's going to be on the video, it's going to be edited way down for the video. So a lot of stuff is in the podcast that's not going to be in the video. So if you like what you're hearing and you want a little bit more of the aside stuff, go listen to the podcast. That's really the point.
Sure, yeah.
But we always start by talking about what beer we're drinking, because we drink beer during the podcast.
Yeah.
And we have our favorites. And because this is the first of the year and it's the New Year's
You're
episode,
trying something new?
I'm trying this new thing. This is a joke because I drink this all the time. I'm trying this new thing, this Left-Handed Brewing Company's Nitro Milk Stout. And you know why I'm trying it? Because apparently it's America's stout.
Is it?
Who knew?
Apparently they did.
I've been drinking this for 3 years. So anyway.
It's Andy's favorite beer aside from Nibs.
Right, and we'll talk about Nibs.
Yes.
So anyway, we're gonna start with discussing just the schedule.
Okay.
This is the way we do it every year when we do the Home Companion, is to let you know what the schedule is so that you'll know what to expect. Those of you who are regular listeners already know this. Skip ahead, but a refresher.
I'm sure we'll find something to make jokes about.
I've done this in a little bit more of an organized fashion. So I'm going to start with our weekly schedule. We do 4 podcasts a week.
Right.
That sounds like a lot more than
we
it is.
release 4 podcasts.
Yes.
On most weeks. Sometimes Andy texts me and is like, "Where's this?"
Well, and that's a technical glitch, but we do a podcast proper is what we call it, which is sometimes more of a long form podcast, but we try to usually keep it around an hour. Yeah. Then and that comes out on a Sunday. Then on Tuesday we come out with our What's Up with Pat and Andy, which is where we talk to each other about what's been going on with us for that week. We discovered when we would start the podcast proper, we would spend a half an hour just talking shit. And so we decided to cut that out and make it its own podcast. Yeah. We generally suggest that you just skip that one. But
you can.
Yeah.
But there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, we still talk some shit. Plus, if you want to learn about tools and things.
and all of my various foibles.
Yeah, and millennials getting the hell off our lawn. Yeah, it's great.
Unless they're mowing.
Unless they're mowing the lawn, which, our own children don't do. So Wednesdays, we release a midweek minute, where we do news and previews, which are trailers. Yes. We call it previews. You're gonna hear about Pat's peccadillos, but one of them is he didn't like the fact that previews doesn't rhyme with news exactly. So he insisted that we call it previews. So that's what we do.
Or news. News and previews.
Yeah. We had a choice between news and previews or news and previews, and we went with previews. It's easier.
We made the right choice.
It's easier on the tongue the way you spin that around. And finally,
that's what she said.
That's what she said. That's not in. That's just a regular old joke.
Yeah.
And then on Friday we do the midweek adjacent, the episode that's adjacent to the midweek minute, where we just talk about what we've been watching on television and what movies we've been watching.
Nerdy things.
Yeah.
We try to keep up with like we try to have a single thing that we try to watch, and so we have something in common that we can talk about. And then we go into
if there's a
what else are we
nerd
watching?
if there's a nerd series that's out, like Titans or
whatever the latest Marvel thing is.
Yeah, Marvel series. We will do an episode by episode kind of discussion every week. So that's the adjacent, and that's the weekly schedule. The monthly schedule, which is the podcast proper, that's the one that comes out on Sunday. We generally 4 weeks in a month, occasionally a fifth weekend in the month. We will do a bonkers.
Like January, 5 weeks.
January this month is a 5-week month, so we'll do an extra. But we do a bonkers banana pants movie where we watch a movie and then we're very careful not to summarize the movie so that if you haven't seen it, you're not going to be entirely spoiled.
Oh, we will spoil it.
There will be spoiling.
There will be spoilers.
But mostly we have a list of specific questions that we ask. And we don't generally watch a lot of like brand new movies except in the summertime.
Right.
Usually it's old flicks and various things. So that's the movie review episode. And then another, and we don't do these in this order every time, but these 4 are what we do. And then we will do a top 11 listicle episode. We know everybody loves a listicle.
And we try to tie these things thematically together.
Right.
We've been better at this, I think, over the last half year or so, of trying to be like, all right, what's the theme for this month is, and then we'll use December as a
bonkers
example.
Banana Pants, top 11 listicles. Then we do a deep dive, which is usually on a specific actor where we go through his filmography and talk about what he or she has been in and what we have any connection to, what we like about it, what we don't like, and what we think is ridiculous.
Yes.
And then we do a media club, which is frequently an episode where we talk about a series, the entirety of the series, mostly television shows, or comic book series, or some books that we've been reading. So that's pretty wide open.
Yeah.
And if there's a fifth Sunday in the month, we do a ramble, where we just get together and talk. It's almost like an extended whoopa, although we try to stay away from the tool stuff and the people being on our lawns and stuff.
I think it's more about the nerdy stuff. Like, that's why the discussion that will be happening on Tuesday about Avatar is probably better suited for a ramble than a whoopa. Well, it doesn't matter.
And the rambles are fun because they're just free form.
Nobody cares.
We just talk a bunch of trash about whatever. So they're fun.
And he talks a lot about Batman. And
hey, that's coming up later in the episode. Don't jump ahead.
Or Spock. Yeah.
I have an entire section where we talk about the things you are into that are episode things and the things that I'm into. So that's where I make fun of you, but I did include some of my stuff.
I get it. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure you are. So anyway, just as an example, I started December. We did David Harbour was our deep dive. Violent Night was our bonkers banana pants movie night. We did top 11 Santa Clauses in movies and TV.
Yes. Like representations of Santa Claus, not like actor playing a department store Santa. Right. It was someone that had to be Santa Claus.
Part of the listicle is
I think we fumbled into that though, really, because I don't remember making that decision before.
No, we don't talk about what our criteria is until the podcast, because I'm always interested in how Pat is going to kind of figure out his list.
Yes. View askew.
Are you just talking about your view being askew?
Yes.
I got you.
I try to throw some curveballs in there.
Well, there you go. And Media Club is just...
I see my role in this as not just being the party line. Like, I have to throw something in there. Like, every once in a while, I just pull the pin and drop the grenade. And just see what happens.
The holy hand grenade, right?
Yeah. And that's the only way I nail the top 11 listicle for Santa Claus.
Every time. Yeah, your number one was clearly the best Santa Claus that there could possibly be. Anyway. Now, so that's we've done our weekly schedule, our monthly schedule, our yearly schedule. Generally, and I'm just going to start very late in the year because this is really when we get going. But in October, we do Monstober, which is rather than following our normal monthly schedule, we do 4 to 5 weeks of monster movies or horror movies of something Halloween based, right? And we always end the month watching Hubie Halloween.
Of course. And if you've never, those of you who've listened to this podcast for however long you've listened, you know we love Hubie Halloween. It is our go-to. Like every Halloween, we watch Hubie. If you are not familiar with the glory that is Hubie, you should get yourself a couple of shots of good bourbon, a beer chaser, and just sit and watch Hubie Halloween with the goofiest friend you have.
Exactly. And be prepared for ridiculousness. It's not. We're not saying this is the best movie ever made. The best comedy is not going to win.
It's not Citizen Kane.
It's not winning any Oscars. But man, it is fun and it's funny. So and it'll give you a little bit of insight into our sense of humor too if you see that. So essentially,
the best thing about Hubie is there is always something new to learn from Hubie.
It's
every year.
It's become something of and we'll mention this later. A face hammer. I'll tell you what that is later. But you
don't sully the idea of the face hammer with Hubie.
I'm just saying we've watched it 3 years in a row.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to watch it and see how long it takes before we don't find anything new to laugh at. Yeah, and then we'll go on to the next thing. But so far, 3 years running, it is just as entertaining in the third viewing as it was in the first two. So
I agree with this, but I also think that has probably something to do with us drinking while we're watching it.
That's probably a good point. Yeah. Well,
that's part of the thing.
Go on. Yeah. That's every movie we watch.
Here's our challenge next Halloween.
If you say we're not drinking, then
no.
I'm not down with that.
No. Monster mugs.
I'm purely.
We need to make a Hubie a 2 monster mug movie.
And monster mugs is another thing we'll mention, and it's on the list. It's on the list.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, getting ahead, but that's okay. November is Thanksvember. And we generally try to do family movies, family something, Thanksgiving related sort of thing.
And we have yet to watch Planes, Trains, and
Automobile. In fact, I think that's going to be quintessential, the only Thanksgiving movie in existence, really. October is Monstober. This is all getting cut out, by the way.
No.
Just so you know.
Just keep it in, man.
November is Thanksvember. December is Christmas theme. We have not come up with a play on the...
Christmember.
Christmember did not work. We're not doing that.
I'm lobbying.
But we try to do some kind of a Christmas themed thing. January, we've decided is going to be our year in review.
Right.
So we're going to do this is our deep dive on our own podcast, and then we'll do a listicle which will go over the movies that we've watched, the Monk Banana Pants movies. So February is Love Brewery.
Love Brewery.
Just as a little aside, Pat and I are both secret romance, rom-com fans. So
not so secret.
Not so secret.
Hey, it's not so secret.
So we will watch some rom-coms. We recently in the Christmas thing started getting into the Hallmark movies.
I was so weepy.
Dipped our toe into the Hallmark movies, which we're not talking about specifically movies on Hallmark, but just the genre of those ridiculous Christmas romances. Love them.
Absolutely love them.
I will say this: other than that, we don't really have specific monthly themes. But in May, June, July, and August, that's the summer big blockbuster movie period. So
lots of nerd stuff.
Generally, we go see a movie in the actual a new movie in the theater, and we do a review. Yeah. So those are the ones to watch out for spoilers on, because we will spoil the shit out of things.
And we try to watch them fairly early in their release schedule too.
We're
it's
in
not
there
like
the first
we wait
week.
until the first to second.
So anyway, summer movie theater. So anyway, that's the schedule.
Yeah, that's our, and we also alternate months. You didn't mention this.
As far as the movies,
who's in kind of control of the theme for that month,
right?
And up to this point, we've been consistent. You are odd numbered months, and I am even numbered months. I think we should try to switch this.
Well, we have to because June is my birthday month, which is an even number. So I should be able to pick the movie. When's your birthday again?
Mine's an even number too.
Yeah, well, that sucks ass.
No, but I don't care. Who cares? I'm more worried because we're again. Andy has already said that we are so secret in terms of our love for rom-coms.
Yeah.
But he has never taken advantage of Love Brewery to really deep dive into that.
It's new. We only started thinking this last year about doing a specific monthly thing. So,
but
we came up with
we could have been doing so much with Love Brewery.
Yeah, we came up with Monstober a long time ago. Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Once again, I'm blaming Andy.
I'm gonna suggest this too, is to be aware of. This is not a professional podcast in any way, shape, or form. We don't edit stuff. We don't. We do a lot of podcast planning on the show. Like we talk about, let's try this. So just be aware of that.
All right. So just a little bit of background on that. Andy and I we've been friends for like what? 5-6 years.
Well,
now, 7 years,
our wives
like
were
that?
friends. They met in a mom's club.
Yeah, mom's club.
Right.
And we became friends just because
we were thrown together frequently. Yeah.
But also, like, we also have a lot in common. We're both nerds. We're both comic book guys. And we would go to movies, and then we would find ourselves talking in the parking lot and be like, we should have a podcast about this after a couple of Monster mugs.
Yeah.
Like, we should be talking about this.
That's right. We're funny when we've been drinking.
And so we started this podcast, and
4 years later, man.
4 years later, and it is part of the fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
And I told Andy from the very get-go, I'm like, listen, this is an excuse for you and me to get together, drink some beers, and talk. Like, if you have expectations that we're going to become internet famous, then it's not going to happen.
No. We're just doing stuff to see what happens, really, man. So
like the idea of editing,
we did get our first email. Thanks, Jerry.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. Cheers to Jerry.
This is to you. Happy New Year, man.
Hard pour.
It's got to be done. Yeah, clearly.
That's the hardest of hard pours.
Yeah, clearly. And it's not getting like.
Man, how can I like a beer that has no head? Like,
well, I gotta warn you guys, we do like to do off-color like sex jokes, so just so you know.
We do curse a bit, but it's not like it's most of our humor is more double entendre.
Right. The more I drink, the more I start to curse. But I do have to say, a hard pour is good because it gives you more head.
See, it leads to a little like that's a decent head for a hard pour.
We like some creamy head. Anyway, this is the part of the Home Companion where we talk about the Pat things and the Andy things.
Okay.
All right.
I can't wait.
Should I go round robin back and forth?
It doesn't matter to me.
All right.
I don't care. Make fun of me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the main thing, I try to put this in sort of an order.
Okay. I'm leaving it to you.
From best to less best.
All right. Okay.
Pat. Here's the thing about Pat. Pat is a completionist. And that leads to many things for me to make fun of him about. Generally, a completionist is someone who, if they start a thing, they have to finish it. I will give you an example. Pat has decided he has to watch all of Star Trek.
Yes.
All of it. How are you doing on Voyager, by the way?
I watched a good amount of it this year, but I'm trying to finish up Mentalist first. I was gonna
ask how far are you on the Mentalist. So these are shows that he has committed himself to watching all of them.
Yes. While I was in Europe, I watched a lot of Star Trek.
Yep.
While I've come back, I've been watching more Mentalist.
Yep.
And so I think I'm a little bit. I think both of them are 7-season series.
Okay.
Well. Listen, Star Trek is a different thing.
That's the thing, because you have a 7-season series for Voyager, but you also had a 7-season series for Deep Space Nine and a 7-season series for The Next Generation, and you still have to watch Enterprise.
Yes.
And what else you got?
Well, no, after Enterprise, I've been keeping up.
You've watched Discovery and Picard and all that.
I've watched all that stuff.
Yeah, but
so really, all I have is like 3 or 4 more seasons of.
See, do you understand what we mean about what he means by watching all of Star Trek?
Yeah,
he means all of Star Trek.
I mean everything. Yeah, Star Trek.
Yeah. We're not going to get too much into that. Pat's completionist tendencies give rise to what I call face hammers. Face hammers are from that joke about the guy. There's a guy who walks up on another guy who is beating himself in the face with a hammer, and he's like, "Why are you doing that?" And the guy says, "Because it feels so good when I stop." This is what I refer to Pat's completionist situations.
I really should have eaten before I did this.
But here are some of his face hammers. Here are some of his completionist.
Is this the top 11?
It's not a lot. It's not a bunch. he is reading presidential biographies
Yes.
in order of the presidents.
Yes.
He's not reading every presidential biography written, but he's reading one for each president.
Right.
Where are you?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Number 2, he runs every day and
I
has
do.
to run every day.
Yes.
Yep. And part of that is due to his city percentage app. He has an app that records the percentage of our city that he has run, and he is in competition with other people to beat them. And
Not really in competition anymore.
no, he does. Well, it's not like you do it because of the competition. You do it because you're a completionist and you have to finish
Yes.
the whole city.
I really do want. If our city. I don't know. Do we talk so much about shit?
No, I'm just saying.
We're very vague sometimes.
We're not
but
going to
other
get
times
in. We're not going
very
to. Yeah,
specific.
we're not going to get too much into this because if you listen to the
People
podcast,
will know where we live. They don't know our address.
if you watch. That's my wife.
That's one of the things we
That's
should
my
add to
wife
this.
and his wife. They frequently
Yes.
jump in. If you watch the videos or you listen to the podcast, you'll find out about this. But also you will hear us talking about the app where it records how much of a percentage of the city he has run, which is
Yes.
where are you now?
All like 38.5%.
38% would have been my guess. So
I'm
very
about
good.
a percentage point ahead of second place now.
All right. Is he like fighting for it? Is he like coming at you
I
hard?
don't know.
Is he coming at you hard?
I don't think so.
And he runs on suicide roads, man. He runs on roads that have
I do
no
not run on
shoulder.
suicide roads.
He ran down a road today, and he didn't run down the side that had the sidewalk. He ran down the side that was like barely a grass shoulder. I mean,
So
Anyway.
wait a minute. The thing I didn't tell you about that road. There's a certain point, like if you're running on this particular road, it is a main road. Like it is it's 2 lanes on each
I'm
side.
opening my left-handed brewing company
Nice.
peanut butter milk stout.
Nice.
One of my favorites.
Hard pour? That looks like a hard pour.
I feel like with left-handed brewing, you almost have to hard pour all their stouts because
Yeah.
There's
not a lot of head there, man.
but it's a creamy head.
Sorry. So
As long as it's creamy.
yeah, it doesn't matter how long it lasts.
Sometimes a shorter creamy head is better. I think that's very true.
Yeah, straight into the neck.
Words to live by, my friend.
So I reached this particular point where all of a sudden we're going over a river or a stream.
Yeah, yes, I know that spot.
And all of a sudden...
Did you realize that spot freezes before the rest of the road?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's got a sign.
It freezes early.
And so all of a sudden, the side I'm on, there's no more grass to it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all right, I have the option of getting into the road
Right.
and trying to sprint or run as fast as I can and hope that cars see me.
And that
Move out of the way.
your leg doesn't fly off.
I'm not as worried about that anymore. So, but I realized
I'm going to bring that up later too.
what you have to do if you're willing to get in the road when you're on that kind of thing.
I don't like the way where this is going just from that statement, man.
No, what you have to do is you.
I gotta say, I worry about you, dude.
I'm bringing up a quote. All right, you have to count on the kindness of strangers.
Okay.
Right? You have to think because I'm running against
I
traffic.
am a big Tennessee Williams fan.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful road. It's fairly new, but it doesn't have like high traffic.
No,
so
it doesn't.
yeah, you can get across it pretty easy. It's not big.
Yeah. No, try sprinting at some time. That's all I'm saying.
I will not. All right, so that's me giving
My face hammer.
Pat some trouble about his completionists face hammer issues. Okay.
I'm not going to apologize for this, by the way.
No. Why should you? It's the flavor.
I may end up dead,
This
but
is-
I'm not apologizing.
This is one of the most fun things about the podcast. If you were not a completionist, what would I have to make fun of you about? So many things, but that too.
Yes.
But
Tell
here's
me some of the other things.
some things for you to make fun of
Okay,
Andy
I
about.
can't
Okay,
wait.
we're going to start this because this has to be done. This is the first podcast of the year, and this is where Andy does Andy's apology.
Are you apologizing? Listen, you cannot just do a blanket apology
I can.
to all the jackasses.
Why can't I?
Yeah, listen, I know you. You're not going to be able to just...
No. I will occasionally apologize in a little way, but this is my main apology. I am an opinionated jackass. very opinionated, and I can't stop myself. And during the podcast, we frequently...
I'm glad you realize this about yourself. That's the thing.
I certainly understand it. Pat frequently likes to bring lists to the podcast to rile me up because there are things that I just have a very strong opinion about, and he knows I'm going to get like riled up.
Random shit too.
Yes, it is. Well, and I will
Top Gun Maverick.
And I will insult whoever wrote the list that he brings. I will be like, what a fucking dumbass. How could they even do that? That's so stupid. And I apologize. I sincerely apologize. I don't mean it. I know that actual human beings with feelings wrote those lists.
I'm not sure sometimes. I think sometimes it's AI.
They're pretty fucking stupid sometimes, I gotta say. But anyway... I apologize at the beginning of every year because as we go through the podcast and the videos, I will insult people. We're not going to ever mention their name. They are not.
Sometimes I bring up their names.
No. Normally you're like, oh, it was 2 people that wrote this. Oh, I don't know who they are, but
yes. And
this is the thing.
Nothing personal about this.
Yeah, yes. It's my my insulting comments are not meant to. And they must necessarily be personal because I am talking about things that people wrote. But I frequently think that people write stuff just to get clicks or they write stuff just to fill space. Yeah. And if it's not well thought out, I am going to tag that shit hard. And I can be a dick about it, and I apologize up front. So this is my yearly... Mea culpa, I am so sorry that I am a fucking D-bag. I don't mean to be, but it's going to happen. I can't stop it.
You say this like one blanket apology is going to be enough for you. And I don't think it's going to be. You're going to be like, you're going to go off on some listicle, and then you're going to be like, a week later, you're going to be like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I didn't mean Teabag2575 on Reddit.com.
No, I'm gonna start having. I'm gonna do the video. I'm gonna do the video, and I'm gonna do one of those little tags underneath, like Stan Lee used to do, where he would put Excelsior, and I'm gonna put, please see the home companion, Andy's blanket apology. So
no, just put a huge asterisk. Andy's apology.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Now, in an extension of this apology, even with the lists that rile me up, where I insult the writers, I also talk about the stupid shit that people do as though people broadly are stupid, which is not entirely untrue. But
I can't wait to go with this. Yeah. I'm following this crazy train all the way to the end. I can't wait.
But once again, Pat brings up frequently that I don't like people, which is true, but I don't like people in a conceptual
on the
sense.
Aggregate.
Right. I like people that I meet. I love Jerry. I love Chad and Derek, which we'll tell you about later.
Chet and Darren.
I don't like Chet and Darren. Chet and Darren they're D-bags. I mean, what are you going to say? But
asterisk Andy's apology.
Look back at like 5 minutes ago. Just go back to that. But I will say really rude things about.
We need a hashtag. Hashtag Andy's apology.
Why not? So anyway,
I see so many spikes.
Back to Pat.
Okay, bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Pat is an onion parfait.
I am.
We came up with this term.
We're both onion parfaits.
No. I know why I think things. You have no idea why you feel things. You don't.
I am all id.
Yeah. Onion parfait is clearly from Shrek. Onions have layers, parfaits have layers. And Pat is like nothing if not layered.
I am
And here's
layered.
the thing. He does not like a lot of things, and he does not have any idea why. So it is endlessly fun to explore them.
When you say a lot of things, what are you talking about a lot of things? Clearly you have a list of the things I don't like.
Okay, I only put 4 on Kung Fu movies, period pieces, westerns, sexy vampire fare.
Well, there's a lot of overlap in those 4 things.
No, they're not.
Period pieces, Kung Fu movies.
They're not. Kung Fu movies don't necessarily have to be period movies. Westerns are always period movies, yes.
Yeah.
But that's not. But when I say period pieces, I'm talking about Sense and Sensibility. That stuff.
Yeah.
You don't like any of that stuff. What is that TV show that everybody likes? I even like those movies.
Bridgerton.
Well, there's Bridgerton. That's one.
I got no interest in Bridgerton at all.
No, Downton Abbey.
Yeah. Not interested.
No. So Pat's an onion parfait because he will frequently come out with, I don't like that, and then you're like, why? And he's just like, I don't know, and I don't care to examine it.
Well, I don't care to examine it because I don't like.
I am perfectly happy not liking westerns.
Yeah, like the more I try to understand why I don't like.
However, he liked Westworld.
Yeah, because it wasn't a western.
This is what I mean when I'm like, how could you like Westworld but not like westerns? And he's like,
it's not a western.
So how come you don't like westerns?
Why are you trying to poke at me? I look at me. I'm like, I'm hiding myself over here.
You're.
The more I think about it. No, I'm not sure why I don't like westerns or period pieces or anything. And as I think about it, I try to come up with justifications for it, but it's just personality. Like I'm not interested in watching like dusty, like this old, like everything going wrong. Nobody happy.
So that we'll have to mention. It's not going to have a lot of bearing here because we're going to go long. But Titso Schnein is from a misquotation of a Channing Tatum quote. He was like, shit so tight, bro. And we loved shit so tight, bro. And we would say it all the time. And then we watched Hubie Halloween, which we've already mentioned. And there's a scene in there where Tim Meadows says he gets grabbed out of nowhere and he's like, Schnein! And we thought that was hysterical. So
and
we were saying
like distant
exactly. So we were saying Schnein all the time. And at one point we had a few beers and we were talking. And I tried to say...
I said it. I recorded it. I said, Titso Schnein, bro.
I know you recorded, but wasn't it because I fucked up something that I said? I said Titso shite, bro. Is what I said.
Titso shite.
Titso shite, bro. And when I left the room, he recorded Titso Schnein, bro. And so... we put that on there to hit our 45-minute mark so we can try and stay close to an hour.
Yeah, because we were trying to be better about the timing of these podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen, I'm not trying to figure out my internal psyche. I just don't like
things.
Yeah. And do we have to have reasons for the things we don't like?
No, certainly not.
Strawberries.
However,
like, is there a mental reason for not liking strawberries?
I will never stop making fun of you based on the fact that you don't know why you don't like stuff.
I still think that, like, I think I've hit on the reason that I don't like period pieces and westerns. And it's just, there's so much sadness in those things. Like, everything is like, it's the Dust Bowl, and everybody doesn't have enough food to eat.
Sorry, that doesn't gel, man. Downton Abbey is a bunch of rich motherfuckers that got everything, and people
but
just
all the people underneath them are like, they love dicks.
No, they love their jobs. Those guys love it.
That's because everybody else in their freaking neighborhood is dying from cholera. They're like, we're the lucky ones who don't have to shit ourselves to death.
You are putting some personal things on here, which says a lot, and I can't wait to unpack that. But
Titso Schnein, bro.
Next, we'll go to Andy. Andy is a conspiracy theorist believer.
Why do you say theorist?
I don't think they're theories.
Even a theorist is like a theory.
They're conspiracy facts. We're not going to get into this too much because it gets to be problematic. But Andy will frequently make comments about the green agenda, the Davos crowd, and wokeism, and loves to watch Pat squirm when he does it. We don't go into that because that's not what we're here for.
Do I squirm or do I just like, whatever?
Yeah, you get very uncomfortable. I love it. That's why I do it. I love it. So back to back. I'm going to go over that real quick. We don't need to get into that. Let's not expect Andy too much. If you watch the videos or listen to the podcast, you will hear me bring that shit up, and you will hear Pat say, and this is our safe word. Tell me more. Is our safe word. That means stop and let's go on to the next thing. So
yes, please.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep.
Moving on.
Next.
Moving right along.
Next for Pat.
Footloose and fancy free.
Next for Pat. Spreadsheets.
I do love some spreadsheets.
Pat keeps copious records of everything.
Not everything, but I do like to have
A record of
a
stuff.
record of things. Yeah, I like to.
Let's have can you, off the top of your head, tell us some of your spreadsheets?
All right. So, well, let's just stick with running. Like, this is not so much a spreadsheet, but a physical copy. Like, I have a calendar that I keep on my desk that I actually highlight every day that I run. I put in there the distance and the time. And I just keep those. There's 112 days on each page. Mm-hmm. And I just print out a new one every time I run it.
Fantastic.
I also...
And then,
at the end of the...
No. We've got the running thing. And then?
No, and then.
No. And then? He has a comic book spreadsheet where he keeps track of all his comic books.
Let me finish with that spreadsheet.
No, you don't. Your completionism is being a problem here.
No. Because at the end of that, at the end of this is 16 weeks long.
Okay.
At the end of that, not only do this, I set my goal at 35 miles a week, right? 5 miles a day. And so I highlight, and then at the end of each week, I put in how many miles over or under 35 I've gone. Then, at the end of the entire sheet, I tally up how many miles I've gone over the expected for that sheet.
Gotcha.
Then I put it in my folder.
Okay.
All right?
Perfectly
That's my spreadsheet.
That's not a spreadsheet, though. Technically.
I could put it in a spreadsheet, though. Don't test me. And yes, I do have my comic book spreadsheet.
And then?
I also have my media that I'm watching spreadsheet.
That's podcast mostly, right?
Mostly podcast.
Or is it everything?
No, it's everything. It's podcasts, TV, movies, live theater, live sports, those kinds of things.
And then?
And I've been tracking everything. What other spreadsheet do you want? Tell me what other.
I'm just assuming there must be more. That's all right. That's all right.
Maybe. I can tell you, like, right now,
do you have a spreadsheet for your spreadsheets?
I do not. Yeah, there you go.
So we'll back to Andy.
I get the feeling I'm getting the short end of this stick here.
Look, all I have written here is spreadsheets. It's not my fault that there's so much to unpack on spreadsheets.
I will tell you, I felt a lot of pressure when you said and then.
I know you resisted it, and I was just like, come on.
Like, wait a minute, let me get through my running thing first.
Let me describe it in great detail. And then we will talk about the other spreadsheets.
I just love the idea of eventually my kids going in and finding like 75 crusty old papers. They're like, what is this about?
Exactly.
This tracks everything your grandpappy ever
They
ran.
know everything about him. This is all going on Ancestry.com. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
The Davos crowd will know so much about me.
Well, it's going to be huge that everybody, for history's sake.
Huge.
Yep.
Sure.
So Andy gets riled up about lazy writing. This includes time travel, multiverses.
Wait a minute. You talk about those things as if they are different things.
They are different things. There are universes where time travel leads to multiverses, but then there's stuff like Back to the Future where time travel is just time travel. If you fuck up something, it just erases the other timeline.
By the way, I came to an understanding last night. My daughter said something that tripped me out.
Your daughter said something that tripped you out. How many edibles had you had?
I had no edibles.
Pat does not do drugs at all in any way, shape, or form.
I'll drink some beers, but I will not. My daughter said, if you were going to create time travel, it also had to be a teleportation device. All right. So, if you were to time travel, say you invented, hypothetically, you invented a time travel device that bounced you back 100 years or 100 years, or forward 100 years, right? That is not only a time travel device, you actually have to move in space at the same time.
Sure.
Because our entire planet is moving. Everything's moving. And so she says this, and I'm like, it triggers into me is something that Stephen Hawking's did.
This sounds like a huge problem to the podcast. This is what we refer to as a Pat's tangent.
Yes, this is clearly a Pat's tangent.
This is a Pat's
Partly
tangent.
because I did not drink before, like I did not eat anything before I drank a bunch of beer.
Pat will frequently get off on a tangent.
But if you were 200 years in the future, and listen, there, like. All right.
So anyway, Andy does not, and this is a clear example. I don't like time travel stories.
I love the fact that I brought that all right into that.
And that's not a blanket thing. Like I like Back to the Future. There are stories that are specifically straight up time travel things, but I feel like time travel stories are free, like in game. I constantly bitch about that because I think it's weak writing. It's as Pat has informed me, and he's right, Deus Ex Machina, which is a conceit that is discovered at the end to fix a writing problem. I think it's cheap writing. Once again, also, I don't like cheap writing, which we refer to as science, which is the Star Trek thing about, we're being pulled into a phase singularity. If we can recalibrate the tachyon emitters, we can break free. This is a made-up problem and a made-up solution. I will talk some shit. Please refer back to Andy's apology. It's not, it's just one of those things. Okay. I'm going to mention this briefly. Mud runs. Pat loves to go to the mud runs.
Yeah.
And he has janky knees.
Is this something you're talking about, like, making fun of me for?
Yeah, he has janky knees. So
no, my knees are good.
I mentioned this earlier when he was talking about his run. I said, did your leg fly off? Like, I constantly tell him, I want you to videotape when you do these mud runs, because when your janky knees go bad and your leg flies off,
man,
I want it on video. Nope. So, inside joke. That's one of those things.
I'm 100% healthy right now.
You almost tripped over our threshold today. You looked a little stiff.
I am a little stiff. I ran 10 miles because I needed to get to 2,300 today.
Well, face hammers galore, baby. Anyway, Pat loves Booster Gold and the Beyonder.
Love Booster Gold.
Yeah, he's always. Anytime we talk about DC, he brings up Booster Gold. Anytime we talk about Marvel stuff, he brings up the Beyonder. So look those up. I'm not going to explain it to you.
You don't have your little thing
Next
that you like
is Andy.
on the Space Knight.
Andy loves Spock, Hulk, and Batman.
And Rom the Space Knight. Come on.
Well, that's not like he's one of my favorites. I just say that he's cool. If they do a Rom the Space Knight movie, I'm down. But as Pat,
the difference between your favorites and my favorites
is mine are cool. Yeah.
No, yours have been made into like all kinds of media.
I rest my point.
No. Mine are undiscovered gems.
There's a reason that they're undiscovered gems.
I'm not going down this
They're
road.
Undiscovered gems like beach glass. They have no value.
This is how the podcast ends.
No. I'm going to go on to Pat's list.
Okay. Keep it coming. I can't wait.
Okay.
I'm dodging. I'm weaving.
But we both have a list. Pat's is
the
actresses that he finds, I don't know what, the most attractive in movie media.
Maybe. I mean, there's a certain personality that kind of like. I hate to think I have a type because I don't really. No, I have dated blondes, brunettes, redheads. I've dated short girls. I've dated tall girls. I dated heavy girls. I dated skinny girls. I don't really think of myself as having a type.
Man, you've been around, dude.
I had an interesting 20s. All right, let's just put it that way.
You're a slut.
I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
I had an interesting 20s.
Yeah.
Like I have settled down with my wife. I love my wife dearly. Like if you ask me who my type is now, my wife is my type.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. She's my type.
I don't remember dating anyone other than my high school girlfriend and my wife. That's pretty much been it for me.
You're a
liar. You are a liar.
What's the opposite of slut?
What's the opposite of honest?
All right.
Like,
You're a liar. Liar!
you smell like beef and cheese.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Lies. So Andy's list. Carl Urban.
Yes.
Jason Statham.
No. You cannot say this.
And Mila Jovovich. Andy has a man.
Everybody on your list.
Andy has a man crush list. No,
Andy has a list that is everybody on IMDb.
That's not even a thing.
Alphabetically.
That's a thing that we used to do, but we
so
don't do it
who do you
anymore.
have on my list? What do you say?
Selma Hayek.
All right,
Kate
yes.
Beckinsale.
Yes.
And Anna Kendrick.
Yes.
Look, I don't know your list, man. Come on. For December, for the Santa Claus list, he picked Anna Kendrick from Noelle as the best Santa Claus of all time. You're not fooling anybody.
I'm throwing that
bomb,
particular
baby.
bomb in.
All right. We're getting to the end of the Pat versus Andy list.
Versus makes it sound so.
It's round robin. It's not like we're in a competition or anything. Pat. So, but
Contra.
anyway,
Let's just say Contra.
I don't want to run past the fact that Andy doesn't have a list of women. He has a man crush list. I love Carl Urban. I love Jason Statham.
The whole purpose of the list, though,
is what?
It's the person or people that your wife would give you a hall pass for.
I find that a ridiculous concept. So
it's inherently a ridiculous concept.
I do not subscribe to it.
There is no chance that I'm ever going to actually. All right, let me give you this.
If I had a chance to go out to a romantic dinner with Carl Urban, hell yes, baby.
No. But if I had the chance, I just happen to run in,
he is not taking me home. I have standards. I'm just saying.
Oh,
but
Carl Urban would totally take you on.
I'm just not interested in that kind of thing. So
no, listen. There's a specific thing like you imagine what they would be like in real life.
Yeah, I imagine.
But Selma Hayek, if you ran into her in a hotel lobby, she's just going to be another person.
That's my point,
right?
Yeah.
And so, am I going to be like, Selma, you're on my list? You know, no, that anyway, is not going to happen.
I'm not. I just don't do that. I don't care about that. But I'm more than happy.
Anna Kendricks, I might.
I'm more than happy to suggest.
And if you're out there listening,
just stop.
Hashtag
dumb as fuck.
I like that. I'll get it, Anna. I'll get it. You say hashtag dumb as fuck, and I'll be following.
You'll pull that sound tag out.
Yeah.
All right. So this is another Pat thing. Pat, for the 3 years we've been doing, almost 4 years.
I gotta start doing some homework on this episode.
Almost 4 years we've been doing this episode. Pat drinks his beer at room temperature.
Yeah.
Only in the last couple of months has he realized that a cold beer is better.
Right. It's not better. It's different. It's just different.
It's better.
It's different.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
I dare you to come to UK to me. Come to the UK with me. Mm-hmm. We'll go to a pub.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, can I get this colder? And they will throw a dart at your forehead.
No. I will drink the beer they give me, and I will say, this would be better if it was colder. And they will throw a dart at my forehead. But that's fine. I'm still right. Pat even admitted it, and then he keeps coming over here with beers and going, feel this. And I'm like, oh, that's slightly below room temperature, man. Yeah.
Beers are beers.
You have a very different idea of what
beers
cold
are
is.
beers, man. Beers are beers.
Oh, man. He would put them in the freezer and wrap them in a paper towel, a wet paper towel.
Mm-hmm. And what did that get me? We
did a scientific experiment.
Yes, we did.
We determined that wrapping it in a cold paper towel actually decreases the temperature over the same time increment by almost 2 whole degrees.
There you go, man. That's all you need.
It's a victory.
It is.
It's a victory. Anyway.
I'm counting it as a win.
All right. So, Andy, we will mention this. Wrist wounds in movies freak me out. I have almost passed out cold at a flick because somebody slit somebody's wrist in a movie. So,
all right, I can't make any jokes about that.
I know I
don't want to make any jokes about Andy.
I'm admitting a legitimate weakness here. What are you going to do? We're coming to this. Okay, Andy, perv card.
Yeah, well, your perv card is not a perv card.
I know, it's completely destroyed.
For a man who does not have a list, you certainly have some perv confetti.
Okay. I get into trouble because I will admit to characters who are of age. They are of age, but they are playing 16 or 17-year-olds.
The actors
Yeah.
are of age.
The actors are of age, but the characters are not of age, and I will mention that they are curvy. Dash and Lily. I said Lily, who's playing a 16 or 17-year-old. I was like, she's
Wednesday.
She's
Come on, Wednesday Addams. She's a very beautiful young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is probably because we are in our 50s, mid-50s. And so we're like,
exactly.
Anybody who is not, it's not like you just have to be like, they're 18, they're legal. No. You got to be in your like 25, 30 age range now for it to be like a legitimate thing.
A 50-year-old lusting after an 18-year-old, that is just pervy. And yes, so
I don't want to be that guy at the bar.
Pat will point out that my perv card is getting punches in it, so, and deservedly so. What can I say?
Deservedly so. Your perv card is confetti. You pick it up and you're just like,
I know.
It's like
so many punches.
It's like glitter. It is the.
So yes, it's so many punches. There's nothing left to talk about. And we're getting to the end. Last one. Pat is never wrong.
No, I am never wrong.
I'm
less right.
He's
sometimes.
less right sometimes. Only less right, but never wrong.
Yeah.
It's
so I'm less right about something.
It must be nice never being wrong.
Oh, sometimes I'm less right, but I'm okay.
Exactly. It's a matter of degrees, really. You know.
Tell me that's not a great way to live. You're just like, yeah, sure, yeah. Whatever.
I feel like
information comes in, I'm just like, yeah.
I feel there's a possibility that people start to distrust you a little bit. But I do enjoy that joke, so mentioning it. But anyway, that's the end of my list of Andy versus.
I'm so glad.
Pat.
Andy versus Pat.
It's
such a confrontational
Andy
thing.
/ Pat.
Yes, I like that.
Pat / Andy.
Pat. Here's the one thing that I will admit,
because I did start with Pat and Andy was secondary on that list.
Well, alphabetically. Pat
I tend to make more fun
me.
of you than you make fun of me. So
yeah.
I mean, you bring the list to rile me up, but
I don't mind being made fun of. That's the thing. Like, I could care less. Like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I mind so much.
Here's the one thing that I will notice, and I will tell this, and I think Andy's going to come as a surprise to you. I don't like Pat.
It's not a surprise at all.
I go by Patrick.
I know,
and that is my name.
You always say Patrick.
Anytime anyone calls me Pat, I'm brought back to like when my brother is calling me Pat as a little kid.
Okay, see, this is the thing. I didn't think you would know why you didn't like Pat.
No,
but you do know why.
Yeah, I made a purposeful decision in high school to be called Patrick. And, most people who do this kind of thing will be like, yeah, you call me whatever, it doesn't matter. And I will. Like, if you call me Pat, all right, whatever.
Can I call you Trick?
Yeah. No,
I always suspected you didn't like Pat. And guess what? I never stopped.
And I wouldn't expect you to stop. That's the thing. Like I've told my wife that I don't like onions for forever. Guess what I eat? Like on the regular. I eat onions.
Right.
I'm ending this episode on a much more dramatic.
You're not ending it because there's still a bit to talk about.
Oh, tell me what else is there to talk about?
Our inside jokes.
Inside jokes, please tell me about inside jokes. I do not even have any beer left, but it's all right.
Do you want a moment of silence?
No.
Moment of silence is what we say when we are going to pause things and then do something that we have to do, like the bathroom.
Yeah, the moment of silence is mostly going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I have nothing else to get. So
okay, inside jokes.
Okay, I can't wait.
We're going to start off because we've already mentioned them a couple of times. Chad and Derek.
Yes.
Back in the day when we started this podcast, after doing maybe a year, we talked a little bit about the fact that we had no listeners, and we suggested that we only had a couple of listeners, and we just decided to name them Chad and Derek. So Chad and Derek are
such a
they're the greatest.
Yes,
they're our perpetual listeners. They're the only ones that we are aware that listen to us, other than our first emailer, Jerry, and
the Jerry on top, man.
Oh, God, you had to do that.
Come on, man.
And we just added recently their doppelgangers
Chet and Darren.
from the Terran universe, the evil, the trolls, Chet and Darren, yeah. Chad and Derek, Chet and Darren. So if we refer to Chad and Derek, we're talking about our two listeners. If we refer to Chet and Darren, we're talking about those trolls that always talk shit about us. So,
and you will notice the change in our demeanors when we're talking about Chet and Derek.
Chet and Darren.
Chet and Darren.
Sons of bitches. All right, Nibs. We talk about
I
Nibs.
am going to be so sad if Nibs don't come back at some point.
We, last year, we discovered, was it last year?
No, this was the year before.
The year before that.
Yeah.
We found a craft brew from New Realm Brewery, and they have a brewery here in Virginia Beach called Pastry Porter Horse.
Yes.
We found it at them, their Costco's, and it has coconut and
cacao
nibs. It's our favorite beer. It only comes out seasonally, we think,
like
because
in the fall, early.
we found it the
winter
first
time.
year, and then it disappeared, and then it showed up again last winter. So if we talk about nibs, we're talking about the New Realm Brewery's Pastry Porter Horse.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And if you ever get a chance to try some Pastry Porter Horse nibs,
it's worth it. Monster mugs. We've mentioned this too.
Oh yes.
So when we live in Virginia Beach, there is a chain of movie theaters here called Cinema Cafe, where they serve food and beer, and they have a deal where you can bring in this giant mug that they sell you, and you can get a little discount on the beer.
Yes.
And these mugs hold 2.5 beers, so they're called Monster mugs, and we generally we rate movies on their quality, but we also rate them on how many monster mugs we can drink during a single movie.
I gotta see what movies are coming out, because the next big movie that you and I would want to go see together is probably Ant-Man.
Quantumania, right?
Yeah,
so this is another thing that happens frequently. These are, once again, Pat's tangents. Pat will get on a roll. He has to look stuff up. It's really fun because I can make him look stuff up just by asking him how tall people are or how old they are. And he cannot stop himself. My wife is the same way. She can't stop herself either. Okay. So, and you heard this. At 45 minutes, you will hear out of nowhere, Titso Schnein, bro.
Titso Schnein, bro.
And that is our scheduling thing that indicates that we are 45 minutes in and we need to wrap this shit up. We're not doing it now, so sorry. Super Nerd Podcast.
All right.
Super Nerd Podcast is our reference to any podcast or media where they make predictions, news articles where they make predictions about things.
Predictions about things.
Well, we do occasionally dip into the Super Nerd Podcast, but not to the extent that they do.
Yeah, our whole purpose, our purview is not to make predictions.
We're not rhyming with news. It's our purview.
Our purview is not to make predictions about things.
Yes.
Mostly
we will
make
suggest
fun of things.
We will suggest what we think will happen, but there are articles that are solely clickbait about what they think is going to happen, or podcasts that spend 3 hours talking about what they think this thing means or that thing means. We refer to those as Super Nerd Podcasts. So.
I do love making a prediction. Every once in a while, I make a prediction that nails it.
Well, you just made a prediction that time travel exists because people don't have teleporters.
That's the thing.
I don't know what that was all about, man.
Nobody will ever be able to make a...
they will never suggest that you are not less right.
The best thing about that whole thing, right there, is that it makes it more difficult for you to take out that previous section. Because now you have to take out another section that's a callback to that section.
Yeah, not hard at all.
All right. Anyway, keep going.
All right, and I think this is a very appropriate thing. A suck it!
I do.
Yeah.
I do like a suck it.
I started doing this a few years ago, but when I would talk about things that I didn't like, I would say they could suck it, but I would always do it in that fashion.
Yeah, dramatically.
The high-pitched voice and stuff. So that's just me. Old Man Dong.
That's old.
I know, but you mentioned it just recently, so I had to put it in here.
Yes.
We watched a movie called Rare Exports for Christmas like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it must have
Yeah,
been about 2 years ago.
And it had
great movie, by the way.
It is.
Unless you want shit to go down.
Shit doesn't. We always thought shit was going to go down, and it did not go down. I didn't put that on the list because that's an old joke, but this is a movie from, I don't know, Norway or somewhere.
Yeah, Holland,
Yeah,
Oslo, whatever.
Yeah,
Norway.
Dutch, I don't know, Danish.
Somewhere. It's somewhere where the sun don't shine.
But in the movie, there were a lot of old men running around in the freezing cold, butt naked, with their dongs hanging out. So,
in that kind of European way, where you're like, this would not fly in an American movie.
No.
Even in like a lower tier, like.
And here's the thing: they had big dicks. They had sizable junk. So when we refer to old man dong, we're specifically referring to the movie Rare Exports. If you have a question about this,
definitely go
watch that movie, and it's in the Christmas spirit. So hey, it's a holiday flick.
Hey, just don't expect shit to go down, because shit don't go down in that movie.
Throughout, and you can go back. I don't know. Did we have the archive where you can go back?
It's on our our Google site, but it's not.
Okay. There's a way you can go back and listen to the old episodes. If you go back to the Rare Export Christmas movie, Bonkers Banana Pants, you will understand what shit about to go down means. Corporation's going to corporate. This is the one that Pat came up with. But we frequently...
That's a lot of things. Like, everything's
it fits for everything.
Everything's going to ate.
Yeah.
Athlete's going to athlete.
Studio's going to studiate.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Anything that...
Podcast's going to podcast.
Yeah. Super nerd's going to super nerdiate. Yeah. So, it works for everything. But it's just the tendency...
It's shorthand for, like, the shortcuts that people make.
That certain genres make.
Yeah, it's just, corporation's going to corporate. They're gonna do what's in their best interest.
All right. Next, it's not a popular opinion, but I'm going to say it.
Please don't say it.
Instant cult classic,
or you keep saying this.
They're a national treasure. Now, frequently I will say that when it's something that everybody would say.
Yeah.
I will say it's not a popular opinion, but I'm going to say it.
Lord.
And Pat finds it endlessly entertaining.
It does. Holy shit, you got a half a page left.
This is short. Adjacent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which led us to the midweek adjacent, which is our... the stuff we didn't want to talk about on Wednesday, so it goes out on Friday.
If we start talking about two things that are kind of similar to each other, but not really, we just say that one is adjacent to the other. Yeah. It's not the same thing. Yeah. It's not even...
It's perpendicular.
Yeah. It's parallel, maybe,
parallel.
Parallel's going to paralleliate. Perpendicular going to perpendiculate. So next, I'm sorry, what?
That's my thing.
That's one that only Pat can do. I can never pull this off, but frequently I will refer to something and he will just deadpan out of nowhere be like, I'm sorry, what? Which means like that makes no sense. It's just a comment. But watch for it. I feel like you should take a shot every time you hear it.
Every time.
But
absolutely, take a shot.
It's the flavor, baby.
It is the flavor.
All right, make you get you. This is something that Andy says.
That's something you say more.
Yeah. It used to happen with a lot of TV shows or movies that Pat had not watched that I thought he should have watched from a nerd culture perspective. And it's essentially...
I can't wait till January.
Yeah, it's essentially where you say, I'm going to get you to do something, but really you're going to make someone do something. So I just say, I'm going to make you, get you to do it. Make you get you. So if you hear that, it means...
Yes.
It means I'm going to ask nicely for you to do it, but not really. I'm actually going to make you do that thing.
At no point does that include any sort of rom-com.
Because I don't have to make him watch a rom-com. That's easy. I can suggest it. That's just to get you. TV detective logic. It's figuring out who the killer is, not based on the clues in the mystery, but things based on the writing and the casting of the show. Like, if you watch a CSI Miami or a Law and Order and you see a famous actor playing a pizza delivery guy, your first thought is like, they didn't hire that dude to be a pizza delivery guy. He's the killer. Now, that's TV detective logic.
But some of this is short-circuited by looking at like something that was written in the 1980s or 90s, and you're like, that person's famous, but were they famous back then? I'm not sure.
I don't know. You
know?
kind of get the movie chops. It's where you figure out mysteries not based on the clues given, but based on something that's more extraneous to the production or the writing. Vintage nerd brain.
That's just where we're so old that we forget the words that are associated with things, and we're just like,
or frequently character names. Like we will talk about a character as Hottie McHotterson, or if Chris Hemsworth is in a movie, we'll just refer to him as Thor because we don't remember what his name is or various things. So anytime we can't remember a thing and it takes us a little while to look it up or just to determine who it is, we call that vintage nerd brain. So you'll know. Just talking about practice.
Oh, no, you can't bring up...
Just talking about practice?
No, listen, you can't bring that up and not talk about Ted Lasso.
Well, I'm going to let you talk about...
The greatest TV show of all time dedicated to soccer.
I'm just talking about practice, man.
You explain practice.
Well, this is a riff on an Allen Iverson interview where he skipped practice and he got into trouble for it. He got fined for it. And he had a long interview where he complained about them finding him for missing practice when he's
just talking about practice.
We're just talking about practice. Now
about practice, man.
I am not a sports guy, which I will mention here in a second, but in Ted Lasso, they do a riff on that where Ted Lasso does the entire interview because one of his players does not want to go to practice.
It's the star player saying he's hurt.
Yeah. He doesn't want to go to practice because he's tired or something. He didn't feel good.
And if you don't know the Allen Iverson thing, then
it just is weird.
Listening to Ted Lasso, you're like, this doesn't seem right. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it's completely...
and it wasn't until I showed you...
The interview,
you're like...
And then it's hilarious.
I get it.
Then it's hilarious. But I will move to that to the NFL board game. So I'm going to mention this. I have discovered just in the last year that I don't care for sports. I've tried my entire life to like sports. I don't really care about it. It's not interesting to me. I don't get upset about it. I mean, you can work yourself up to get upset, but I don't really care enough about it. So for the last 2 years, I have not watched any NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball. I don't watch any of it. I don't care. I've not missed it. It's like getting rid of Facebook. I didn't miss it at all when it was gone. Pat, on the other hand, is a big Raiders fan.
Yes.
Has been up to this point. So whenever during the Whoop or whatever he would start talking about the football schedule or the games, I would be like, what is that? Is that a board game? The NFL board game? So it was a running joke. And I'm going to finish it up. That is actually it. I will mention this. One of Pat's sayings that I love is a thing is perfectly serviceable. So you may hear
that has been a thing like for
a while. From the beginning. I didn't bring up I'm not precious about that because you don't say that anymore. So
I will start. I am perfectly happy to say that I am not.
But anyway, I was hoping we would wrap this up in an hour 15, hour 30, but I guess we got way off track. But anyway, sorry.
30-ish.
It's the home companion. This is what happens. We have a lot of inside jokes. If you stayed with us this long, congratulations. Now, if you listen to the podcast, which will be long form, or you watch the videos, which will be as short as I can make them, they're going to be highlight videos. These are the jokes. You'll get it.
Yeah, this is the highlights. I do like the idea of catching people up on what are the inside jokes, because I guarantee over the next year we're gonna have different inside jokes.
Yeah, stuff changes. Yeah, I'm. This is not
it's not comprehensive.
Exactly, not an exhaustive list of anything.
But it will give you a sense of the relationship that we have and the jokes that we tell each other. I still feel that this is a little bit poking at Patrick.
But yeah.
I might have to do some homework next year.
No, don't do that.
That shit ain't going to happen, I'm going to tell you that.
Come on. I think I put plenty of stuff about myself. if you take nothing away from this, remember my apology, because in days to come, it will be necessary.
in months. Yes, we do need. I am so happy. You did not mention the change in the audio.
Yeah.
For
so
your wife
at the end of the show, we have a little soundbite from my wife, because she used to come in and tell us to wrap that shit up because we were talking too long.
Yes.
And there's a little bit from your wife too. You guys are weird. Yeah. I love the sound bites because I got this shit wired, man.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
This shit wired, man.
All right. Well, the dame has spoken, so it is time for us to wrap it up. I do always love our home companion.
Yep.
I think that is fantastic. It does wrap things up so well.
It's so schneien, bro.
Fantastic.
All right, well, the dame has spoken, so it is time for us to wrap it up. As always, I have been Patrick.
And I have been Andy.
And I might have been Pat at the same time. I don't know.
No, he's Patrick. I will try to be better about that, because he's tricky.
You don't have to worry about that. All right, anyway, bye.
Bye.
You guys are weird.